Hey, my name's Iso from forageSF, and today I'm going to show you what's in your boxes this week. First off, in the forage box, we have ramps, which are just really, really amazing. These are one of my favorite wild greens. They have a really short season. They can be used for a lot of things. The greens are really my favorite part. You can just kind of saute them up with some eggs. There's a couple nice recipes in there. And then the roots here, I just cut these off and pickle them. As far as cleaning goes, just clean them as you would a scallion. For the pickle, just about that much. You know, you can cut off the bottom. You can try to wash this out, but this is it never gets too well washed. So I just cut it like this. So this can be the pickle part. And then the green, just like that. It's really cool actually when you're sauteing them. They kind of puff up in this really nice way. Saute them fairly lightly. You don't really want to cook the hell out of them because they can get a little mushy. But just saute them a bit. They have this really nice oniony flavor, really unique, really delicious flavor. So these are really exciting. The next thing we have are these morels, which are just really, really nice. These are the first morels of the season. A friend of mine asked me just the other day, they found something that looked very, very similar. It was white in their backyard growing, and they asked me if it was a morel. And what I told them to do is cut it open. And you can see in here that it's like basically hollow. And that's one of the really good ways to tell a false morel from a real morel. A false morel would be thicker in here. The stem would be really thick and filled in. Something to watch out for. But these are really nice. Next, we have these porcini, which are very beautiful. These are one of the best mushrooms, the king of mushrooms, people often call them. King of wild mushrooms. They can be used really in anything. Porcini bisque is amazing. Then you're kind of grinding them up. So that's actually better for using dried mushrooms. But just slice them and kind of saute them, use them in any recipe you want. And I'm going to talk more about that as I go along. And then we get into the mushroom box here, which also has some really nice stuff in it today. These are oyster mushrooms. These are cultivated. What's nice about cultivated mushrooms is they basically come clean. As you can see here, basically have no dirt on them. I wouldn't even wash these personally. If you do see a little bit of dirt, maybe just use a wet rag. You can wash them if you want, but then you have to do a dry saute, which is kind of another step. But these are a really nice one. Also in your mushroom box are some really nice porcini, same stuff as in the forage box. And then you get these special maitake mushrooms, also known as hen of the woods. These have a really unique texture for mushrooms. If there's someone in your family who doesn't like mushrooms, maybe they feel like they're a little mushy, a little slimy, which, I wouldn't agree with, but some people say. These are a really good one to have them try. They have a really nice, light, feathery texture. And again, what's really nice about these is you can just cut the bottom off to clean them. You don't have to wash them at all. A little fun fact about hen of the woods mushrooms, maitake, in Japanese apparently means the dancing mushroom. People say it's because when people find them in the woods, they just dance with joy. So it's a little fun fact to pass on. Cool. So now I'm going to show you some cleaning and cooking technique. I'm going to tell you about cleaning these morel mushrooms. As you can see, as I was talking about before, they're hollow, which means they're delicious, but also means dirt can be inside of them. So they really need to be washed. It's a common misconception that you can't wash wild mushrooms. You really can. It doesn't mess up any of the flavor. You just need to treat them in the right way afterwards, which is dry sauteing them. So what I like to do with these, bowl full of water, grab some of these guys, rinse them all around in there a little bit, get a little crazy. And then after that, you lift them out. So lift them out of the water. And then if you have dirt in the water, it means you need to do it again. So just keep doing that until there's no dirt in the water. Be careful with them. They're fairly delicate. So if you really kind of go for it in the water, you can mess them up. Another thing you can do, because sometimes dirt can get in the middle, is to cut them in half, then kind of give them a nice little rinse. All you need to do with those. After this, what I want to do is a dry saute, which I'll show you later. Learning how to dry saute is a really good technique with all mushrooms. Because any wild mushroom that you get, you have to wash. You want to then dry saute, and what that does is pull all the water out of it, so it doesn't get mushy. Unlike a lot of different mushrooms, like the porcinis, you can dry saute them, then just put them in the fridge. The morels, you dry saute, then cook them in some butter, and then you really should put them in the freezer if you're not going to eat these right away, because they don't hold in the fridge in the same way some other wild mushrooms do. So dry saute, cook a little with the butter, a little bit of salt, put them in the freezer. Otherwise, just eat them right away. But if you're not going to eat them for 1 or 2 days, you really should store these because you can get little critters in there, which means that the soil is really healthy and the nature's kind of doing its thing, but maybe you don't want to eat those. Okay, so next I'm going to show you what to do with porcinis. So these, like I was saying, are just an incredibly beautiful mushroom. What's really nice is with these, they're already really clean. As you can see, the knife cut. So what the forager actually did in the field is cut off the dirt right there. And they actually just wash them in a mountain stream, which is like very romantic. Actually really helpful because then you don't have to deal with it. But if there is any dirt on it, you can deal with that in a couple of ways. One is just take a wet rag and just kind of give them a little wipe. And that's like really all this one needs. But if for some reason you get porcinis from someone else that are just super dirty, not like our beautiful clean ones, you can wash them underwater or just like dunk them in. Just rinse them off. Really doesn't hurt them. And then once you've done that, there's a couple different ways to process them. With these small ones, I really like to just slice them. Because then it's really nice. You get these nice porcini shaped beauties. Another way to do it, especially for the larger ones, is you can actually pop the cap off and then slice the stem, slice the cap. These are pretty good, especially since I didn't wash them. But you can dry saute these as well. But if you don't feel like they need to dry saute, just saute them in a little butter. If you're going to store them, saute them in a little butter with a little salt right now. Put them in the fridge. They should last for about a week in the fridge like that. But if you are just going to kind of have a feast on the first night, then just follow the recipe for that. These are the hen of the woods, the maitakes I was talking about. So there really isn't a lot to do, especially out here, because we can't cook them right here. You just cut off the root. That's the part that's growing somewhere. These are cultivated, so they're especially clean. But even if you find these in the woods, they actually grow on trees, not down in the dirt. So there shouldn't be much on there. And it's kind of a shame to wash these. I mean, you can. It won't kill them, but they're so nice as they are. So it's really up to you. So these are, like I was saying, just like I've said about everything, are really good. Just sauteed in a little bit of butter. The texture of them is really unique for a mushroom. It's got a nice kind of feathery, it's hard to explain exactly. So you should just try it yourself. Okay, so the next mushroom I'm going to talk about is these oysters. There isn't really a lot to do with these. Like I was saying, they're pretty clean already. What I would do is just kind of cut this little guy off there. Just cut the root off and then cook them as you would in any recipe. It's just super simply sauteed in butter is really good with a little salt. I've gotten in the habit of saying that all mushrooms are best just sauteed with butter and put on toast. But it really kind of is true. It's really the nicest way to taste the flavor of the mushroom. Like the porcinis, definitely try that. With these is really good too. But I would just slice them up and you're good to go. If there is too much moisture in them, you can dry saute them, but I really don't feel like that's true in these. So I wouldn't take that step. So enjoy. So here I'm going to show you how to dry saute mushrooms. Here we do it with morels, but you can really do this with any mushroom you're trying to pull moisture out of. So you want to start with a cold pan, no heat, put the mushrooms in, turn the heat up to kind of medium low, add a little salt. That really helps pull that moisture out of the mushrooms. So you can see already the moisture's starting to get pulled out of it. A lot of moisture gets pulled out. So when you're cooking the mushrooms later, it's not just watery and waterlogged. It helps to concentrate the flavor too, which is really nice. So here you can see the water starting to disappear. Really pay attention to this point. Don't walk away during this process or your mushrooms are going to burn, and that would just be a tragedy. So as it gets to this point, turn off the heat, take them out of the pan. You're good to go.